And welcome back to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com, where you might have noticed that over the last few weeks a brand new track has been added to our playlist. It's called The Lover by the Cassanovas, and we thought we actually wanted to get to know this track a little bit more, so we thought we would get one of the members of the band on the phone right now to chat about it. How are you going, Damien?
Good, Dave. Thanks for having me, mate.
No problem. Now, mate, our listeners have been absolutely loving The Lover, so tell us a little bit about this track and where it came from.
Okay, so I think it's like the third song we've released off the album that's coming out later this month. Look, I mean, it's probably all Tommy on this one, but we really kind of wanted to capture that sort of, late 70s, early 80s kind of Kiss, kind of Thin Lizzy type of vibe. So, which sort of went along with the whole theme of the album. It's all a little bit different, but The Lover was something probably Tommy's had a crack at probably a few years ago. I don't reckon we were ready for it just yet. So this one seemed to be like the better version of that type of style that he was trying. And it just seemed to go well on this album for some reason, and it's turned out really well.
Now, I'm not complaining because I love that style, but what was it about that style that made you guys want to capture it on a track?
Look, we've never really been parody at all. That's something we sort of dislike probably in rock and roll, but we've always probably had our tongues firmly implanted in our cheeks. And we've always loved that sort of stuff, like just as a, we used to go and do road trips and, tour around and listen to the whole of, Def Leppard, Hysteria, and just sort of enjoy that on a very different sort of level. So it's been something that we've loved, that kind of, that produced kind of sound, I guess. But it was probably something that we needed to do on an album, something like that.
Yeah. And you had producer Ron Nevison working with you on this track as well. And of course, he produced The Who, Led Zeppelin, Thin Lizzy, Kiss. What was it like working with him, and what do you feel he brought to the track?
So we had him mix the album. And that was, I guess we were trying to sort of think of what we were going to do with this album. We wanted to produce it ourselves after the last one. So we kind of wanted to put our eggs in the basket of getting a good mix this time. And we just found it. He's just sort of online, still just, doing odd jobs, an album here and there. And we just loved the sound. We just thought, God, that's everything in that era that we'd love to capture on the album. So we like to try and keep things fairly uncompressed and pretty big and live sounding. And a lot of that work he did sort of through Kiss and through even Heart and Thin Lizzy. It was just spot on. I made a little playlist of all the stuff he did. And it sounded fantastic. And I thought, geez, if he can make our tracks work in with that sound, we'd be pretty happy with that. And he nailed it. So it was pretty good. I mean, we only worked with him all online. We didn't go over to LA or anything like that. But that's fine. That was kind of the world we lived in.
Yeah.
It was not long after COVID, so it was the perfect thing to do and just do all that online. But he nailed it, and he got where we were coming from too. I think when we sent him The Lover to do as a mix, because he did them one at a time, he just emailed a picture back of Paul Stanley without anything. It's just like, yep, he gets it. He understands.
Yeah. How did he respond when you first reached out to him?
I think he kind of got us. I mean, we sent him some stuff that we'd done in the past. Like we sent him Reptilian Overlord and I think a couple of other little tracks. But I think where we were sort of saying, hey, we love what you've done here, and here. He kind of got where we were coming from. So, and yeah, he had some time available. So it just worked out fairly easily.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where we kind of had a few names lined up, and we thought, oh, let's just give Ron a go, thinking, he probably won't want to do it, or he won't have time, or whatever, and he was up for it, so it was cool.
So what was the songwriting process like on this album? Because, of course, you guys were coming off an album that many have considered to be your best album, and you also did that tour of Europe. What was the songwriting process like for this one?
Well, that album, Reptilian Overlord, took so long to come out, and as this one has, to be honest. So it's really, we just had a shitload of time in between. So, you kind of get, after Reptilian Overlord, Tommy had actually written some of the songs for this album already before that came out. And I think it was just important just to keep working on new stuff, and so we don't get bored with, the old stuff. We had Brett as well. So Wolfie had joined us, and he'd never actually recorded with us before. So he was keen to get in and start learning these, brand new songs and have his mark on the songs as well. So it was kind of cool because we had the last 2 years before that with him just learning the old songs. And that's stuff that Tommy and I played for years and years and years. So I guess, so that didn't become boring. We all learnt brand new songs all together. And it's cool. And that was sort of the first chance that Wolfie got to really put his spin and his style into the songs. So it was just ready to go. We were just sort of, okay, that album came out, let's go in and record another one.
Does that kind of put an extra spring in your step as well, having a new member like Wolfie coming into the band?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we had Jaws for years and years, and Jaws is still a great mate. It's always a bit hard for a new member coming in, especially after, Jaws was in the band for 15 years.
Yep.
He comes in and you sort of think, all right, well, your main thing is you want to play some shows, so you just want to have him, nail the live stuff, so he gets all that right. But I think in his mind, he's just he really wants to do his own thing, so he's got some songs that he's recorded on. And it was probably the first chance we really heard what Wolfie's drumming did to the band in that recording process. And it's just brought, for a three-piece where there's nowhere to hide, everyone's style has to come to the forefront. And it's just, he's got a completely different style to Jaws. He's not so much punk rock as what Jaws was, but he's just got this really classical, classic sort of 70s rock style, which is just perfect for the band and perfect for these songs. So we were stoked with his input.
How much did you guys enjoy that European tour as well? After 2 or 3 years of being stuck down with the pandemic, did it feel good to be able to head back to Europe and do those shows?
Yeah, it did, because the one before that we did, we just started getting a bit of momentum back over there, and then the whole COVID thing sort of happened. We were trying to go every couple of years, and unfortunately made it another long break. So that was great going over there, and probably the jewel in the crown of that is we played the Crossroads Festival Rockpalast in Bern. Not Bern, in Bonn, in Germany. And that was cool. That was the whole sort of, live to German TV sort of thing. So that was great too. I mean, it's a hell of a production they put on there. So, it's probably the best, I guess, live production we've seen of the band too. But yeah, great to get back over there. I think we're sort of looking at.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how was the nerves before that show?
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, we timed it sort of, so it was like, I think it was 3/4 into the tour, which is perfect. So we sort of had some runs on the board, and we were fairly confident about what we were doing. But even still, when it's, you got all the cameras around you and all that sort of thing, and it's so sort of like, okay, well, you can't fuck up. You're like, there's no sort of edits or anything like that. So you do think about that a little bit, but you know what? There's probably a few muck-ups on there and everything, but I think that's cool as well, because it shows a real live show. It's a good version of what we do, really.
Yep. Now, before I rudely interrupted you, I think you were going to say that you were hoping to do some more tours. What have you guys got lined up after the release of the album on August 25th?
Well, it's sort of at the talking stage, so nothing really lined up, but, we've now got a new label looking after, our album over in Europe. So, TVI's, taken that on. So that's actually part of the guy that does our booking for us. So now he's doing our distro and our vinyl over there. He's even more keen for us to come back over. So we'll probably look at doing that, maybe sort of this time next year.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy from Brazil that looks after South America who's I think keen on looking to get the band over there as well, which would be really exciting. So I've never been over there, so South America's probably on the cards as well.
Yeah. What about some Aussie shows over summer? Have you got anything planned there, or is that just in the talking stages as well?
Yeah, so we obviously want to do an album launch, which we've got. That's booked in Melbourne in October 13, at the ESPY. So, the plan is we do that, and then we obviously do the same thing around the country as best we can. So, obviously want to come up to New South Wales and, up to Brisbane. We haven't been there for a while. Last time we were in New South Wales, we were in Sydney, actually. It was the last week of Frankie's.
Yeah.
Which was fun, but yeah, we'll certainly do the rounds and do an album tour.
Awesome. Well, mate, I am going to play The Lover on our show right now, and I'm sure I'll be at the ESPY on October 13th for your show as well. So what would you like to say to all of the listeners out there before they take another listen to The Lover, and also before they go out and grab a copy of Backseat Rhythms on August 25th?
I'll probably just say, look, if you're a Cassanovas fan, you'll love this song and this album. It's a lot of what we do best and a lot of what we've done well in the past, but there's probably something new in it as well. So, maybe keep an open mind and an open heart as well.